Yes. Yes, we are. Okay, welcome back to the First and Gold podcast. I'm your host, Sam Gold, and today we are recapping Week 15 of the NFL season. Before we start, we've had this segment for a few weeks now. You guys went down in the comment section last week for the recap video and commented your bold take. And, every week we're going to shout somebody out for their best bold take. So here we go. Brock P Fan 13 shout out, commented, bold take, 49ers finna win Super Bowl. Boom, mic drop. There you go. I'm sorry, man. This is not the last 5 years. This is completely different. Even Devin Norbu, shout out in the comments, responded, bold take, not daydreaming. Yeah, I agree. Maybe had a little bit of hope after that Bears game last year, but hell no. I mean, look, it is a bold take, so that's why I'm shouting you out. So if you guys want to comment stuff like that crazy, I'll definitely keep an eye on it. But shout out, Brock P Fan and Devin Norbu. I've seen you guys commenting along with a few other of you guys. So really appreciate the support. And, keep commenting down below. Keep watching our videos. We love it. We're going to keep making this content. And with that, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is the 2-minute drill, where we take all of the games that I don't really want to talk about in depth, but we're going to fit it into 2 minutes and say a few things about each game. So let's start. We got a bunch of them this time, starting now with the Thursday Night Football game, Rams 49ers 12-6. Yikes. Honestly, the one game this year I genuinely can't say a single thing about. Seriously, there was no highlights, nothing. So let's move on to the 1 o'clock games. Washington, New Orleans. The Commanders beat the Saints 20-19. Yes, it was a great game, but we're going to have a lot of these throughout the rest of the season where the games don't matter, but maybe the game itself was close for whatever. Commanders barely scraped by. Jake Haener is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. Spencer Rattler gave them a little bit of life, but it means nothing for the Saints. They suck. And the Commanders, look, you needed to win, and you won. So there you go. Bengals Titans 37-27. Same story for the Bengals every single week. They put up a shit ton of points, and the Titans, put up a ton of points against their defense. Giving up 27 to the Titans is basically giving up 50 points. So the woes definitely continue for the Bengals defense, even though they won. Jets-Jags, game of the week, but why would anybody care? Even Scott Hansen was like, of course the slate that was hyped up all week ends up, this is the only great game, Jets-Jags, between 2 3-win teams. And that's what the Jets love to do. They love to miss the playoffs and then start winning and totally screw up their draft capital. So congrats to the Jets for totally, oh God, just terrible. Anyways, Cowboys, Panthers 30-14. Genuinely can't remember anything from this game other than it was kind of weird to see the Cowboys wearing blue in Carolina. Weird uniform matchup. Cardinals, Patriots 30-17. Cardinals. And then finally, Packers, Seahawks. I know I'm running over 2 minutes, but this will be quick. Just another game that was hyped up, but you just saw throughout the entire game. The Packers were completely dominant. They were the better team by far, and the Seahawks just looked tired. And now that Geno Smith is dealing with injuries and the Rams are on the come up, it just feels like bad things are to come with that team. So we'll see. But overall, a lot of games just kind of disappointed this week on Red Zone. Also, shout out to Red Zone, man. And not in a good way. What's going on? There was commercials. That's the whole point of Red Zone. I don't care. I don't care if you're sneaking the commercials side by side with a no audio version of the games we're watching. That's the same thing. It's still going to commercial break. I don't care if we can see the other game next to it. No. What's going on? Red Zone is literally what gives me 40% of my joy in life. And that's probably really sad to say. But that's what I like. To be in a time frame during the year where you just know every single Sunday is already booked with just pure happiness. I'm not watching the Geico Gecko. I'm not! Like usual, we have about 6 games to talk about in depth. Let's start with the Chiefs game this time because people are like, well, it's 21-7. Like, come on, put the Chiefs in the 2-minute drill for once. And I'm not going to, all right? For this main reason, because I actually do have a lot to say, even though this game seemed pretty boring and straightforward on paper. I don't get it with the Chiefs. It's really, really weird this year. There's been times where I kept my confidence in them, and I just got to be completely honest about the Chiefs right now. It's odd because they have the best record they've ever had with Mahomes, and I feel the worst I've ever felt about a Mahomes-led team going into the playoffs. I don't understand it, and here's what I want to run down with the Chiefs. It's the fact that last year, when we had way more losses and it felt like everybody was counting us out, at least there was one main issue we were looking at, and that was the wide receiver problem. And even in the playoffs, they proved that they got better. They completely shut out Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney from the game plan. They did the right thing with that. Travis Kelce got better, even though he's a tight end, but he's still receiving. MVS shaped up in the playoffs and looked good. And then Rashee Rice continued to really improve last year throughout the year. So that was all fixed. And then the rest of our team was fine. It really was. This year, however, it feels like there's just little holes throughout the entire team. You go to the defensive side of the ball. The pass rush isn't the same. I mean, it feels like every other game, there's just nothing happening on the pass rush. If you're not named Chris Jones, of course. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Mahomes he's been better the last 4 or 5 games with turnovers. But in the beginning of the season, he looked completely lost, turning the ball over left and right. And now it just feels like there's absolutely no rhythm with this offense. Even though the receivers are better in terms of catching the ball, they're not getting open as often. And then Mahomes has absolutely no trust in his offensive line. Our tackles are terrible. Our right tackle false starts all the time. Wanya Morris, they had to put Joe Thuney out there against Myles Garrett just to guarantee Mahomes wouldn't die. And he still got an ankle injury. We'll get to that in a second. I mean, he just has no confidence in the deep ball anymore. Him and Xavier Worthy, although the short passes are starting to work out lately, it just feels like there's no real chemistry bonding in a part of their game that they really thought they were going to improve this year, which was the deep ball, the explosive plays, and the play calling. The play calling has been so much worse this year. I promise I'm trying to be as objective as possible. This might be coming off as just a spoiled Chiefs fan who's in his own bubble, but I really do think Matt Nagy is one of the worst play callers in the NFL, and he's one of the worst offensive coordinators in the NFL. I mean, the fact that you have Patrick Mahomes, the fact that you got 6 turnovers in this game and still only put up 21 points, that's a major issue. Isaiah Pacheco doesn't even look the same running the ball. And it sucks because one of my major issues with this game is that we passed it way too much, which is true because you don't want Mahomes. The whole point was for Mahomes just to get through this game nice and safe with Myles Garrett coming out against our horrible offensive line. We have 3 games to play in a 10-day span. So you don't want to be risking all this shit. And I just got to blame Andy Reid and Matt Nagy for this one, honestly. Just for the fact that we did not rely on the run game. I don't care that the pass game was working in the first half. You're up 21-0. That's the time to be like, all right, we have this game in the bag. Let's just play it super safe, super conservative. Our defense is playing awesome. Probably their best game of the year, honestly, for the defense. Amazing. Trent McDuffie, shout out, has his first interception of his career. He's a first-team All-Pro. And yeah, it's probably shocking to some people that don't know. He didn't have a pick before this game. So, look, everything defensively, great. I love you guys. That was a great game, whatever. But, like, just going back to everything, like the play calling, how are you not just running the ball in the second half? Kareem Hunt had some nice runs in there, and you were just putting Mahomes in harm's way. So, although it's so funny because Chiefs fans are literally asking just to have kind of a stress-free, multiple score win, and that's almost exactly what we had. But for some reason, I feel more icky coming out of this game. Like, it's just, I feel so confused this year. It makes no sense. I'm looking at the Bills going out there. The Bills have their problems. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm just looking at some of these other teams that just look way more, I don't even know if I want to call it buttoned up, but they just have better chemistry right now. They just look less tired. That's another thing. Like, the Chiefs just look tired right now. And I'm not excusing them by any means, but it does make sense. I mean, when you're playing that many games per season, since they've been constantly going to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, that's a lot of extra wear and tear on your body and less time to rejuvenate in the offseason. This also kind of sounds spoiled, but it is honestly true, and Patriots fans would understand this. Like, the regular season doesn't matter that much to them. Like, obviously it matters because you have to make the playoffs and get good seeding. But you could just tell with the Chiefs, they've been sleepwalking through this entire season, just barely scraping out ways to win it. And although we're 13-1, which is great, it's just, it would be nice to see the team have a little more heart. It feels like they're just slugging their way through it. And I don't know, there's something different about the season in the air where it just feels like they're not going to have the heart at the end of the day. And it's crazy because people are like, Sam, how do you keep doubting them every single season? They keep proving you wrong. I don't know. Look, I'm just trying to take it year by year. I know the past shows otherwise, and that we're this dynasty. And look, obviously, I recognize that. I'm super lucky. I love it. And it's not the end of the world if we don't three-peat, of course, because I've already gotten all the happiness in the world for my favorite team. I'm only 23. But look, I'm on a podcast. I'm a Chiefs fan, and I'm just analyzing what's in front of me. The 2024 Kansas City Chiefs in December. And that's just how I feel right now. You're probably looking at me like, dude, you're 13-1. You're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Like, why are you so mellow and complaining? You just won by 2 scores and you're 13-1. But look, when you've won this much, you're chasing the three-peat at this point. And the only reason why I seem this way is because I don't feel like our chances to make history and become one of those greatest teams. I don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't. And I hope to God they prove me otherwise, because that would be great. I hope I'm wrong. I think a lot of Chiefs fans deep down feel the same way that I do. I really do. Something's off this year, and it sounds crazy, but I'm less confident in a 13-1 team than I was in the 9-6 team last year. It sounds insane. Okay, let's move on. I spent a lot of time on that. I promise these next 2-3 games will be pretty quick because the games itself weren't that great. Texans-Dolphins is number 5. I'm only putting this in there because I kind of want to have a good sign-off finally for the Dolphins. They were like barely in it since Tua came back, and like they're still mathematically alive, but I think it's a good time to say that the Dolphins have become irrelevant in 2024. And it pains me to say it because, look, I like the Dolphins. I always tout them as like my second favorite team just because I really like their uniforms and I've been to their stadium and blah, 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 whatever. But like, I gotta be honest, it is completely miserable watching them sometimes. And this might be unpopular. I don't know how fans feel. If there's any Dolphins fans watching, please comment down below if you agree. I think Mike McDaniel should be fired. After watching this brand new Hard Knocks, which shout out, it's actually been pretty good so far, the AFC North Hard Knocks. You just watch guys like Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh lead a team, and you're like, yes, that's exactly what a head coach should be, 100%. And then you see guys like Zach Taylor and Mike McDaniel, and you're like, how are guys even getting up for these people? I get Mike McDaniel is an offensive genius or whatever, but is he though? I mean, last year, before people really knew their playbook, they were dominant. They had the Tyreek Hill streak route, having a touchdown every single week. And it just feels like every single time you watch the Dolphins offense this year, it's the same 4 plays. It's the pitch out to Devon Achane. It's the angle route screen to Devon Achane. It's the one where they take forever for the play to develop, and then they just hope to God Jonnu Smith sneaks out over the middle and is wide open. And then finally, to Tyreek Hill, it's the same deep cross every single time. And it's like, yeah, no shit the Dolphins look like this, like in the Texans game half the time. Because teams are like, yeah, this is too easy to defend. Like, we just got you. I don't care that you have speed. Like, just put 2 safeties up top, and it's easy. So, I just feel like everything with Mike McDaniel has become this new, fun, exciting offense, and now it's just becoming stale and boring and predictable. And this game was kind of just the icing on the cake, especially when Tua can't get it going. What did he have? 3 interceptions in this? Just, he was really selling it for them as well. So, just, yeah, goodbye to the Dolphins. And for the Texans, look, congrats. You guys won your division. That's pretty big. 2 years in a row. But honestly, I don't really have much to say about the Texans because they didn't prove anything too different. I haven't really had a new thought about the Texans in a while because they've just looked the same mostly this season. So I don't really have much more to say. So let's move on to another game that wasn't fun, but I have to talk about it because it was important. Bucks-Chargers, 40-17. The Bucks go out and beat them. Look, I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about, I think, last week in terms of I would much rather have the Bucks and the Rams make the playoffs instead of the Falcons and the Seahawks. Because when the Bucks are on, they are one of the most fun teams to watch, especially offenses in the NFL. And I actually think this game said a lot more about the Chargers than the Bucks, which is funny enough. We'll get to that in 1 second. But just props once again to Baker Mayfield. Like, anytime Baker Mayfield has one of these games, you can almost tell, like, right away, oh, it's just one of those games. He has it. He's going to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Mike Evans exploded in this game again. And look, all I can hope with the Bucks is that because the Falcons are probably going to win tonight against the Raiders. I just hope they keep on winning because I do think the Falcons are going to drop a couple more games. And I just hope the best for Baker Mayfield because anytime he's happy, the league's more fun and I'm happier. So let's move to the Chargers really quick. I don't know what's going on with them. They've been very quietly not that good lately. And they're 1-3 in their last 4 games. Kind of expected them not to play that great against the Ravens, and a lot of that was Quentin Johnston's fault. But look, even though the Chiefs technically got lucky with that doink, I mean, they let the Chiefs drive right down the field last week in that game-winning drive. And they didn't look that great. They looked good in the third quarter against the Chiefs. This week, their offense also stale. And then against the Falcons, they didn't look that good either. So there's definitely an issue going on with the Chargers right now. The Bengals are technically still alive. Can they make it? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. No, probably not. But maybe. Bengals fans listening? I don't know. So the Chargers, they play the Broncos next week, which is huge. So that'll tell a lot about where the Chargers are at right now in December. I don't know what it is, though, because they actually haven't had as many injuries that they usually have. I know Ladd McConkey missed a game, but that's not the biggest deal in the world. He was back in this game. They still put up 17 points. So I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. I don't keep up with the Chargers that often. Chargers fans, if you guys actually exist, if anybody watches the videos, please tell me why they're in such a funk right now. Because I used to actually enjoy watching the Chargers this season. That means a lot coming from a Chiefs fan. And to lose 40-17 in a game where you're trying to still make the playoffs, you're not in the playoffs yet. I don't know. Just saying. I feel like the Chargers are kind of on the downward spiral here. Good thing they won a lot of games early. But we'll move to Colts-Broncos, which was one of the funniest games I've ever watched this season. Just, oh my gosh, the Colts, dude. Also, yeah, just like the Dolphins. See ya, Colts. You're gone. You're dead. 6-8. I don't care. I don't care that you play the Jags, the Titans, and the Giants the rest of the season. You're done. You're not making the playoffs. And my God, I know you have to take risks. And especially when you're the team that really needs everything to go your way to make the playoffs and you're playing the Broncos in Denver. But what the hell was that trick play? If you guys don't know what it is, Anthony Richardson threw it to A.D. Mitchell, and then A.D. Mitchell, it was one of those where you throw it to the wide receiver, it looks like the wide receiver's about to throw a touchdown, and then he throws it right back to the quarterback, and Nick Benito just goes, boop, right in, pick 6. One of the worst trick plays I've ever seen in my entire life. And then that's not even the craziest part about the Colts in this game. Jonathan Taylor fumbling at the 1-yard line. Al, you're putting your head up, but you didn't even have him in fantasy this week because you had a bye.
I hate to see that.
First of all, Al, he's first place in our fantasy league right now, the luckiest player of all time. He had Cooper Kupp. He has Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor on his team. And they both suck this week. And he just gets to watch with a bye. And I'm sure they're going to be great next week. Just crazy. But, oh my gosh, like the Colts, man, they just deserve to not make the playoffs after that. Like, I don't even know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know what it is anymore. It was just so, because they were controlling a little bit of this game early on. I think they're up like 13-7, something like that. But man, like the Broncos are the better team and they prevailed at the end, but just one of the funniest things I've watched. And oh God. All right, let's just move on. Number 2, Steelers-Eagles. Shout out to all the people on TikTok. Thank you for watching our clip. Most viewed clip in first and goal history. Thank you guys. I didn't realize, how many. Look, man, Steelers and Eagles fans, they really come out for the content. I like that. I appreciate that. So let's talk about the game. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great game. And I was completely wrong. The clip was the upset alert of me picking the Steelers. So we definitely got some comments coming back being like, yo, did you watch the game? Yeah, I watched the game. Of course I did. Look, where do I even want to start? I think I'll start with the Steelers really quick. It was 27-13, by the way. The Steelers, am I worried about them? No, because I just feel like this is what the Steelers are. They are a very good team this year that is just not ready to compete with the big dogs. And by big dogs in the AFC, I really just mean the Bills. I think they'll probably beat the Chiefs on Christmas, if we're being honest. But look, there were a couple turning points in this game. The obvious one was the Najee Harris fumble, which Mike Tomlin just completely benched him after that, which I understand, like, fumbling in a big moment like that is inexcusable. But Najee Harris wasn't playing that bad in this game, and I actually think they needed to rely on the run game since Russell Wilson wasn't having his best performance and George Pickens was out. So I don't really agree with that decision by Mike Tomlin. Funny enough, they lost this game and they clinched the playoffs because I think it was because of the Colts losing. And yeah, it was a big game to get up for in Philly. And I just feel like the energy for the team just wasn't there to start with. And maybe it's a coaching issue in that Mike Tomlin, even though it's a huge game just as an NFL fan to watch, maybe Mike Tomlin just doesn't see it as big of a game than most people do because it's an NFC opponent. And they play the Ravens next week. So I can't believe I'm even saying this, but maybe the Steelers overlooked the Eagles. It could be something like that. It could just be a talent discrepancy. TJ Watt also got hurt in this game. I think he'll be fine. It's an ankle. So we'll just keep monitoring that. But for the Eagles, they just keep proving me wrong like every single game at this point. Like I did have a stretch there where I turned and I believed in the Eagles, and then I kind of picked the Steelers in this one. I thought it was going to be an upset. I'm sorry, I was wrong. But look, dude, the Eagles, Saquon Barkley, 60 yards in this game, and they still beat the Steelers by 2 scores. And a lot of the props obviously goes to the defense, but Jalen Hurts, man, people were clamoring for him to play a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. He did have a fumble in this game, I believe, but he was like 20 of 25. He had multiple touchdowns. Even after in the press conference, he was like, is that what you guys wanted, huh? Like, I'm still here. I'm still a great quarterback. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the confidence in Jalen Hurts. I think they also wanted to get A.J. Brown the ball more because he was complaining after last game, which, you know, look, you get paid all that money, you want the ball. I actually don't even have problem with wide receivers being divas because they are one of the only positions in the NFL where you can try your absolute hardest, win every single rep, and still not reap the benefits from it. Like, you could be wide open and your quarterback might just not see you. So that's why I feel like wide receivers get frustrated a lot. So I actually don't blame them that much. The people being like Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown hate each other, like, stop. That's not true, obviously. They were dancing after their touchdown. Like, I hate when people, like, just assume what the locker room's like when they don't even know. I think that the Eagles right now are the favorites in the NFC solely for 2 reasons. One, because they literally just proved they can win by multiple scores against a playoff team with Saquon Barkley kind of just playing But the Lions have so many injuries now, and it just feels like the Eagles have shut up all the haters constantly. There's no bad vibes anymore, even though, you know, Nick Sirianni got in an argument with some of the assistant coaches. It feels like people still don't really like him. But the talent's going to prevail at the end of the day. And this team still has chemistry. The defense is great. And I really do think the Eagles are the team to watch in the NFC. So there you go. Lions-Bills is our final game. I left it for last, obviously, because it was the most hyped game probably of the year, which is kind of crazy. A lot of those NFC versus AFC matchups don't have as big of implications, but everybody picks this to be your Super Bowl matchup since like week 7. So obviously people were excited for this. The Bills win it in Detroit, 48-42, the highest scoring game of the year, but the Bills kind of dominated it. What was it, 35-14 at one point? Something like that. And I just want to talk about the Lions really quick. Shout out all the people that were making fun of me for saying that Dan Campbell made the wrong decision last week against the Packers. And I literally said in that video, I like Dan Campbell, but one of those decisions is going to end up hurting you when it matters most. Just like it did in the NFC Championship game. Yes, I know there was a guy that dropped the ball, and they could have converted it easily. But look, that's the risk you run with those plays. Just take the points, okay? And in this game, he called an onside kick down 10 with 12 minutes to go. What are you expecting to happen, Dan Campbell? Are you kidding me? That is one of the worst coaching decisions of the season. I don't care that he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. This is exactly what I was saying and what I'm worried about. It was his coaching decisions, and then, yep, the injuries on defense. And guess what? You just gave up 48 points at home. I'm sorry. Like, am I not right? Like, and I like the Lions, and I wouldn't be shocked if they made the Super Bowl. Of course, they're still what are they, 12-2? It's one thing to go take a risk against a team that you know you could play better defense against, but you're doing an onside kick against the Bills, who have already put up a shit ton of points in this game. You really don't think they're going to go down there and capitalize on that? That's almost disrespectful for the Bills. I'm sure the Bills took that personally. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to onside kick it down 10 with plenty of time left? Oh, we're just going to go down and score. Easy. We're going to keep our lead in this game. That's exactly what happened. So as much as people love Dan Campbell, I still like him. I just think this is a prime example of it not working out and a team taking advantage. I said in the playoffs, if they play the Eagles and go for these 4th downs and don't convert, you got Saquon on the other side, you got Jalen Hurts on the other side, you got A.J. Brown, you got Devonta Smith. It's not going to happen. Like, your defense isn't going to stop it, especially with all these injuries. I guess you could say the same about punting or kicking it away, but I don't know. 12 minutes to go is crazy, so I think the Bills just completely outplayed him in this game. Josh Allen, once again, had a great performance. And even though I mentioned way earlier that Lamar Jackson has been having a great season, I understand why Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. He's been absolutely dominant, especially in the last few weeks. Actually, the Bills have scored at least 30 points. I think it's like the last 7 games or something like that since Titans-Bills, which was like week 8. So, man, as a Chiefs fan, I am extremely afraid of the Bills. I'm not going to lie. This feels like this could be the year they get us. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, Josh Allen, enjoy your MVP. Enjoy probably the 1 seed at this point with the Patrick Mahomes ankle injury. I actually didn't talk about that too much for the Chiefs. I kind of forgot about that. Carson Wentz is going to come in and play a couple games probably, maybe just 1. And I'm really afraid of the Bills overtaking that 1 seed because if it runs through Buffalo this year, I just don't know what's going to happen. And that scares me. It scares me. So, congrats to the Bills winning a big game. The Lions fall. But, overall, there's still some good games in there. We'll see what happens next week because the games just get more and more important as we roll on. There's going to be a lot of those Jets-Jaguars in there. The teams are just completely done for the season. No one cares. But I'm excited. I seem nervous because I'm really nervous about the Chiefs now. For some reason, my confidence is completely shot from them. But we'll see what happens. All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment down below your bull take, and we'll look at it for next week's video. So you guys have the best bull take. We'll pin it and mention it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us at First and Gold on Instagram and TikTok. I'm Sam Gold. See you next week. Goodbye.